In Greek mythology, Hercules faced a terrifying creature called the Hydra. Every time he cut off one of its heads, two more grew back in its place. The harder he hit, the stronger it became. For most heroes, this would be a nightmare. But think about it from the Hydra's perspective. Every attack was an upgrade. Now ask yourself, when pressure hits you, a failed project, a shifting market, a team crisis, do you shatter? Do you bounce back to where you were? Or do you come back stronger than before? Most of us have been taught that the goal is resilience. Take the hit, dust yourself off, get back to normal. But in a world where uncertainty is the rule, getting back to normal isn't enough. Normal is what got you here. There's a third option, and it changes everything beyond resilience. The third state. When pressure hits, we think about two states: fragile, things that break under stress, like glass, and resilient, things that absorb the shock and return to their original shape, like rubber. But Nassim Nicholas Taleb identified a third state: anti-fragile, things that get stronger because of stress. Your muscles work this way: lift heavy weights, and you create micro tears in the fibers. Your body doesn't just repair them, it rebuilds them stronger. No stress, no growth. This isn't a motivational poster. It's biology. Neuroscience calls this hormesis. Small, manageable doses of stress trigger adaptive responses that leave the system better off. Your brain does the same. Face a challenge beyond your comfort zone, and your neural pathways reorganize. You build new connections, you upgrade your operating system. The question for leaders isn't, can we avoid uncertainty? The higher you climb, the bigger the problems you tackle, the more volatility you'll encounter. The real question is, can you become the kind of leader who gets stronger because of it? Why smart leaders? Many high-performing leaders are more fragile than they realize. Why? Because of the identity trap. When your identity is built around being the expert, the one with the answers, the person always in control, you've built a glass tower. It looks impressive, but the moment your knowledge becomes outdated or your approach stops working, the tower cracks. Carol Dweck's research confirms this. People who tie their identity to fixed traits, I am the expert, experience significantly more distress when challenged than those who tie their identity to processes. I am a learner. The first group breaks, the second adapts. Fragile leaders say, I know the answer. Resilient leaders say, I'll find the answer. Anti-fragile leaders say, this challenge will teach me something I couldn't have learned any other way. Bouncing forward, not just back. You've heard of post-traumatic stress. But psychologists Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun documented something equally real and far less discussed: post-traumatic growth. Their research shows that many people who face serious adversity don't just recover, they report greater strength, deeper relationships, and a richer sense of meaning afterward. This doesn't happen automatically. It happens when people treat their failures not as evidence of inadequacy, but as data. They don't ask, whose fault was this? They ask, what can I extract from this that makes me better? Think of every setback as a software update. The crash is painful, but if you process it and make sense of it, sometimes with the help of a professional, your next version is more capable than the last one ever was. Building your anti-fragile architecture. Here are 3 principles grounded in research and practice. Practice psychological hormesis. Your leadership capacity needs micro doses of discomfort to expand. If you've over-optimized for comfort, you're not safe. You're atrophying. Take on a project beyond your current skill. Have the conversation you've been avoiding. Small, voluntary stress builds your capacity for the involuntary kind. Kill your darlings. In writing, this means cutting your favorite sentence if it doesn't serve the story. For leaders, it means proactively seeking evidence that contradicts your strongest beliefs. Ask your team to challenge your strategy. The things you're most certain about are often the things making you most fragile. Use the barbell strategy. Be extremely safe in some areas so you can take meaningful risks in others. Secure your foundation: health, key relationships, financial basics. Then use that stability as a launch pad for bold experiments. You don't need to gamble everything. You need to be stable enough to be daring. What most leaders get wrong. If the ideas above feel logical, good. Now, let me flip a few assumptions that might not. Over-preparing makes you fragile, not safe. Rigid, detailed plans create dependence on the plan rather than on your own adaptability. Military research shows that simple principles outperform complex plans in volatile environments. Efficiency is the enemy of anti-fragility. Efficient systems have no slack, no redundancy, no room for error, which means they're brittle. Your body keeps two kidneys not because it's inefficient, but because redundancy is how biology survives the unexpected. Leaders who optimize every minute and every dollar to maximum output have zero buffer when disruption hits. A little waste is actually insurance. Avoiding small failures guarantees a big one. When you suppress small volatility, dodging difficult conversations, ignoring signals, not testing ideas, you don't create stability. You build invisible pressure until it explodes. Forest ecology works the same way. Suppressing small fires leads to catastrophic ones. Your strengths are your biggest fragility. Whatever you're best at is where you're most exposed because you over-rely on it. When the environment demands exactly what you've neglected, your greatest strength becomes your blind spot. Invest in your weaknesses, not to become well-rounded, but to eliminate single points of failure. Seeking closure makes you fragile. Psychologist Ari Kruglansky's research shows that a high need for closure leads to worse decisions under uncertainty. People grab the first available answer and stop thinking. Anti-fragile leaders sit with, "I don't know yet," longer than feels comfortable, because that's where better answers live. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Goals are important but fragile. They depend on conditions staying the same. Systems are anti-fragile. They keep working even when everything around them changes. A goal says, "I want to get there." A system says, "I will do this, no matter what happens." When the storm hits, goals wash away. Systems hold. The bigger picture. Last week, we explored how ideological and dogmatic thinking makes you less adaptive. Anti-fragility is the other side of that coin. Rigid thinking makes you fragile. A learning identity makes you anti-fragile. Together, they form a foundation. Let go of the need to be right and embrace the power of being stretched and challenged. Your action for this week, for the next 7 days, every time something goes wrong, missed deadline, difficult feedback, a plan that falls apart, pause before reacting and ask one question. If I treated this as data instead of damage, what would it tell me? Write the answer down. By the end of the week, you'll have started rewiring your default response from "this is a problem" to "this is information." That single shift is the foundation of an anti-fragile mindset. A year from now, two leaders will look back on the same turbulent period. One will say, "I survived that." The other will say, "That's where everything changed for me." Same storm, same pressure, same uncertainty. The only difference? One tried to get through it. The other decided to grow through it. You get to choose which leader you'll be. And the choice doesn't happen in some dramatic moment. It happens this week. In the discomfort you lean into instead of avoid. In the failure you mine for data instead of bury. In the belief you hold with open hands instead of clenched fists. Anti-fragility isn't a talent you're born with. It's a practice you choose. One micro tier at a time. Become an AI expert. In just 5 minutes, if you're a decision maker at your company, you need to be on the bleeding edge of, well, everything. But before you go signing up for seminars, conferences, lunch and learns, and all that jazz, just know there's a far better and simpler way: subscribing to the Deep View. This daily newsletter condenses everything you need to know about the latest and greatest AI developments into a 5-minute read. Squeeze it into your morning coffee break, and before you know it, you'll be an expert too. Subscribe right here. It's totally free, wildly informative, and trusted by 600,000 plus readers at Google, Meta, Microsoft, and beyond.